G'day everyone, Dan here. Tonight I'm doing smoked chicken risotto, and I'm going to do the chicken in the offset smoker. I've prepped this chicken breast here. I've just put salt and pepper and garlic powder on it just to give it some seasoning before it goes in here. The plan is to go up now and do the risotto while this is cooking. I'm doing it in the offset because I want it to be a cleaner flavour of wood, like the wood flavour in the meat, rather than that thick smoke flavour you often get from using a bullet smoker. So I'm going to see how this goes. Hopefully it gives it a nice mild flavour and gives it some extra flavour for the risotto. It's just going to go in here probably for about half an hour. I don't want to overcook it. There we go, in there. I just want to let it sit for maybe half an hour. It's not going to matter if it's still a little bit raw in the middle or throughout if it's not fully cooked, because I'll slice it up and I'll actually add it to the risotto when the risotto's hot, and that residual heat or the heat from the risotto cooking will actually cook the rest of it and hopefully give it some tenderness and some moisture to the chicken still. Well, now I've got that in, I'll go upstairs and we'll get started on the risotto. Okay, so I've got a couple of things going on here. One, I've got this pot here at the back which has chicken stock in it, just normal 1 litre of chicken stock. I'm using just the normal Woolworths brand chicken stock, just any chicken stock will do, just 1 litre of chicken stock. You can have unsalted or salted, or reduced salt if you wish. That's just in the back heating up, so that way it's got heat into it when we're adding it to our risotto. So in this fry pan here, I'll just turn the heat on that down just a touch. It's got about a millimetre of olive oil covering the whole lot. So I'm going to add, I've got 1 cup of risotto rice, or arborio rice, which is for risotto. I'm just going to add that into there and give it a quick stir around, just until that rice becomes translucent. And then, which will take about a minute, if that. It just covers it with oil, make it translucent. I don't exactly know why that's done. I've seen this done on other YouTube channels I've done, and that's what they do. And I've always done it, and it seems to be fine. And that's beginning to look, it sizzles a little bit, it's beginning to look translucent now. So you'll know, it's fairly obvious, it goes from being white to being sort of opaque in colour. And that's pretty easy to do, just don't let it burn. So now, to that, and this will sizzle a fair bit, the first thing I'm going to add is just, I've got, there's about that much wine left in this. I usually like a bit more white wine, but that's all I have. So what I'm going to do is just add that now to the risotto, as such, and let that absorb in. Just turn that down a touch more. This plate's, it's a new stove, so I'm getting used to it. Now I just keep stirring that around. So what will happen now is that rice will absorb that white wine. It'll burn the alcohol off, but it'll absorb the rest of it into the flavour and give it the flavour into the wine. So that'll bubble away for a couple of minutes here. I'll leave that just for a tick. The trick with risotto too is just keep stirring it the whole time you're cooking. It releases the starches in the rice and actually gives you that thickness and that glugginess that risotto needs and wants. It's a particularly hot day here in Townsville, so what I've got also is this other fry pan here ready to go, and I've just got my onion and mushroom ready for that. So I'm just going to add that. It's on a fairly low temperature as well. It is, yeah, I'll just turn it down a little bit. I'm just going to get that started. And I don't want to fry that, I just want to slowly cook that and reduce that onion down and that mushroom down so that it starts to get really soft. And that'll take probably 15 minutes to where I want it to be. I'll add the garlic to that probably later in the cook. I'll just turn that down, put that initial heat down, and that'll be fine. You can add a bit of salt and pepper to that as well, just to season that up. Give that a stir again. So now that'll do its thing on that nice low temperature. Now I just want to get back to my risotto and keep stirring that. So basically now I'm going to add a cup at a time, not much of a cup, but I'll add small amounts of a cup at a time. I won't need anything, I'll just pour it out of the fry pan. Just add a small amount into my risotto at a time until it absorbs. Basically I keep doing that until I've used that 1 litre of stock. And what you end up with, well, I'll show you as I'm going. My wife and child are home, so I'll greet them as they come in. But what I want to do is just keep stirring that, like I said. And I'll actually bring the camera over in a couple of minutes and show you what it's looking like. But I just keep stirring that and releasing the starches. Hey little kid, little fella's home now. But yeah, that's how we do risotto. It's fairly easy to do risotto. There's plenty of videos on YouTube on how to do risotto, but I'll show you, this is how I do it. So this is now with the white wine and just a little bit of that stock, how we're looking. And I'll just keep doing that. Obviously I'll let that reduce just a little bit more. And you know, you can just add just a touch at a time. Keep stirring it through, stirring in, letting the chicken stock absorb into the rice. And that's what it's doing, it's absorbing in and thickening that up. But just keep stirring it and you'll end up with all the starches releasing from the rice. So we'll come back in a few minutes and see how we're going. Okay, so you can see that creaminess of the risotto there now. That's about halfway through the stock. So what I'll do is I'll just keep adding a little bit, but this just gives an idea what it looks like. And I'm not adding much, about that much, you know, maybe 100 ml at a time, if that. Just bringing that back in and letting that just absorb into the rice slowly. And I'm just continually stirring it. Oh, there's a bit of mushroom from when I was stirring the mushroom and onion mix before. Just continually stirring it, releasing those starches. And it keeps it creamy and it makes it creamy. So my wife actually thought there was cream in it when she had a look, and I was like, no, it's just the starches from the rice. So that's how we're looking about halfway through. If you get to the end, obviously I won't worry about doing this anymore filming. If you get to the end and you've run out of stock, just make up some stock using a chicken stock cube, enough to get you by. You know, usually I find I need maybe a couple of 100 mils more. You can use water, but I like to have that chicken stock flavour still and don't want to water it down. So yeah, we'll come back when this risotto's pretty much done and we'll show you what we're looking like. Okay, so that's how we're looking now. Try to get that out of the steam. That's how we're looking now with a litre of stock. And I've just had a little taste test. It's just that tiny little bit crispy in the middle of that rice still, if you know what I mean, when it's not quite cooked. So I made up another couple of 100 mils of stock just using powder. I'll just add a little bit more of that. It probably won't take too much longer, so I won't add it all. Now I'll start to work on reducing this down so it thickens up. But it's very close to being cooked. I'm going to get my wife to stir this. I'm going to get my wife to stir this, and I'm going to take it off the, go and get the chicken off the offset. And then we'll come back and we'll slice the chicken up. I've also added the garlic to the onion and mushroom mix, and that's what we're looking like. And we'll come back and we'll add all that into this once it's finished cooking. Okay, so this is what our chicken's looking like. And as you can see, it's got that nice crust. It's firm enough. I'm going to slice it open. Like I said, I'm going to place this into the risotto as it's still kind of cooking. So any residual heat will cook anything that's not cooked. But so far, we're looking quite nice. And I'll slice this up, just nice thin slices. I'll cut it both ways. Now I'm getting to the thicker part of the chicken. That's what we're looking like so far. It's got quite a bit of moisture in it still, so that's good. I haven't brined it. You don't really want to brine it because when you're cooking risotto or anything, I've made the mistake before. The brine actually, all the moisture in the meat then releases into what you've cooked, and yeah, it ends up very moist. That's still just a touch, probably undercooked in the centre, but like I said, the residual heat, or the heat from the risotto as I throw it in there, in the next 30 seconds is going to cook that fine. So I'll just give this a try on its own, one of these thin pieces. They actually taste really nice. I'll finish this up, I'll cut it up. Like I said, I'm going to cut it both ways, nice and fine. And then I'll put that in the risotto. We'll come back. Okay, so Louise is stirring that at the moment. I'm going to hand her back the camera. She'll film while I hook in. So I've just had a go at trying that, and it's actually pretty much cooked. It's good to go. So you can see the consistency of that risotto. It's very much like porridge. Nice consistency and good flavour just by itself. So I'm going to add our onion and mushroom mix straight into there. Like I said, I'll put the garlic in there just at the end and then turn the heat off because I was happy with it. And then my chicken, which I've cut up into a nice fine sort of consistency like that. And it's got a fair bit of moisture in it. I don't want that moisture getting off the board on the bench. That's why I've sort of trying to be gentle with it, because I want to try to put that chicken juice into the risotto as well. So now, like I said, anything that was just slightly undercooked in that is going to cook through within about 5 to 10 seconds. It won't take long. And now I want to stir this up nice. I'm going to turn that heat down to the lowest setting and just really stir that through into that risotto. And what I'll do, we'll come back in a couple of minutes because I'm going to stir this up a fair bit more, but at the end I've actually got the spring onion to put in as well, and that'll add some greenness, just give it a nice bit of freshness as well. You can add parsley. Another thing you can add, you can fry up bacon in your in your onion and mushroom mix. Add a little bit of bacon to that if you wish. I've done that in the past and it actually tastes quite good. But we'll come back once I've stirred this through and we'll serve it out on the plate. See how we're looking. Okay, so the last thing I'm adding is just spring onion. We buy it in bulk and I usually freeze it because it saves you having to get stuff every time. And it's always pretty good. It doesn't really go off that way. And I've actually taken this off the heat and I'll just stir that through. And that'll just residually cook that, make it a little bit tender. And from here, it's just literally a matter of taking it over, just get that all cleaned up, taking it over here where I've got my plate set up, and don't need that anymore, and scooping it out into our plates, as such. And I shall put some Parmesan cheese on this now. I'll do my wife one because she's always the taste tester. And she doesn't like a great deal of Parmesan, whereas I coat mine.
Oh, I do like Parmesan.
But I drench mine in Parmesan. And I'll get Louise to try that and tell us what she thinks. And no doubt she will like it. So I'll go to the chief taste tester over here. Risotto is really easy to make. So, do you like it?
I do.
So, and that actually tastes really good
yummy.
as well.
It's really good.
So, it's a bit time consuming. That took probably half an hour to actually make the risotto, and the whole time I was making the risotto, just continually stirring, I was doing the chicken at the same time. So yes, that's how I make chicken risotto. You don't have to smoke it, but I wanted to smoke it and see what the difference was. It's added just a little bit of extra depth of flavour. Okay guys, until next time, this is Dan. Take care.